but also in people. The future we envision, therefore, must include women at every helm. Ladies and gentlemen, at the Kenya Ports Authority, we recognize that gender inclusion is not just a moral imperative, but also a strategic one. We cannot grow a modern, resilient, and sustainable maritime sector if we leave our women behind. To this end, the authority has made significant strides in ensuring that we mainstream gender in all the facets of our business and operations. Some of the notable achievements implemented: increasing the number of women in technical and leadership roles across our port facilities, from operations and engineering to safety and compliance. Sponsoring maritime training and cadetship programs that actively recruit and support female students. Partnering with local and international maritime organizations to champion diversity, mentorship, and policy advocacy. And supporting community-based initiatives that empower young women in coastal communities to explore careers in shipping, logistics, and the marine services. Now, despite these strides, barriers still exist. From limited access to maritime training, gender stereotypes, challenges women face aboard vessels, and the male-dominated workspaces. I therefore call on all stakeholders, including the public and the private sector actors, maritime training institutions, unions, and development partners to work with us to expand and access to education and skill building for women and girls in maritime fields, create supportive work environments both at sea and offshore, develop mentorship networks and leadership programs for women in maritime careers, ensure that women get a seat at the table and continue meaningfully to shaping the future of the maritime sector. To the women in this room and to those who have braved the waves, defied norms, and paved the way for others, you are just participants. You're not just participants in the maritime industry. You are pioneers, captains, and change makers. As I conclude, I wish to encourage the women and the girls and their horizons and continue reaching for opportunities. I want to assure you that you belong here in the ports, on the bridge of the vessel, in the marine engineering, maritime law, ocean science, logistics, and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, this is truly an ocean of opportunities, but it will take all of us to ensure women are not left ashore. Let us commit together to a maritime industry that is not only strong and sustainable, but also inclusive, just, and visionary. Once again, happy International Day for Women in Maritime. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Managing Director, Kenya Ports Authority. You see, KP has 6,000 employees. For that 6,000 employees, we have what percentage for female? 20%. Are we not trying? We are trying, but we are there. Please, a round of applause for KP for that. Thank you so much. And she played a very big role in that. You know, she's the nature and ensuring those things are there. Ladies, oh yeah. Okay. The gentleman in the room are going to speak. Now, the next speaker, Director General, Kenya Maritime Authority, represented by Maritime Lawyer. So we are saying, Madam Catherine Kitiki, Maritime Lawyer, Assistant Director Maritime Governance at the KMA. Please welcome on stage.
Very much. Apologies, coming with the laptop in front of you all, simply because I need to read out the Director General's speech, which I have on email, so you'll bear with me. I'm trying to be loud and this thing is not working with me. I'm hoping it can. So good morning once again, everybody. So my name is Catherine Kisiki, as I've been introduced by Gladys. I'm an officer in the legal department at Kenya Maritime Authority, here representing the Director General of Kenya Maritime Authority. I'm also a member of OMESA and very happy to be here. I'm not seeing people smiling today, and I don't know why. It's almost 10:30, and we're not smiling. Can you smile to the next person next to you, please? Yes, thank you for that. So I will just start by delivering the remarks by Director General. So the International Day of Women in Maritime is observed, yes? Okay, all right, thank you. So the International Day of Women in Maritime is observed every year on May 18th and has been established as a dedicated day to honor women in the industry and invite more women to join the maritime workforce. In a similar fashion, I hereby dedicate this day to you all attending this workshop, physically and virtually, and celebrate you. Kenya, as an African country, is enriched with culture and societal norms based on the trajectory of women participation in the maritime sector over the years. We are happy to note and appreciate the great strides women have taken to strive to be better in their respective fields and encourage, push, or inspire other women, including young girls, to pursue careers within the maritime sector. We take cognizance of the mentorship programs carried out by WOMESA Kenya, more particularly to young girls in schools, including Children's Home as part of your CSR program. I applaud you and encourage you to continue spreading the word. Let us take a minute to appreciate and applaud the remarkable women in Kenya, including yourselves, who have fought, strived, worked hard to become relevant and be seen within the maritime sector. So I'll kindly request for us to give a loud hand clap for all those women. So today's celebration will be centered on opportunities available for women in ocean matters. This is an opportunity for women not to shy away for fear of reprimand or lack of support, but to consider, stand out, take charge of the opportunities available within the ocean industry. Our focus should not be limited to what we can do for the Kenyan maritime sector, but includes what we can do for the ocean sector at large, the global sector at large. The opportunities are many and include seafaring opportunities, expert advisory, survey and certification, inspections, investigations, prosecutions, maritime transport, insurance, recruitment and placement agencies, brokerage, litigation, alternative dispute resolution, training, capacity building, shipbuilding, research, hydrography, financiers, hoteliers, exploitation and exploration of marine resources, among others. Challenges are many, such as variance of opportunities due to remuneration packages and facilities available. should be an area we collaborate to champion their removal. To mark this special day for women in maritime, Kenya Maritime Authority aligns itself with the IMO, PAMAESA, and WAMESA Kenya to progress the thematic area of this year's celebration on ocean of opportunities for women, and it resonates with the logo, our ocean, our obligation, our opportunities. So we are alive to the recent Women in Maritime Survey report on the participation of women in the public and private maritime sector workforces, which is undertaken in 2024, where a number of revelations were made. And the Director General trusts us to discuss and come up with a resolution on how we can improve these measures. Kenya Maritime Authority, as a regulator, is committed to continue promoting gender inclusivity in its operations. So I would like to conclude my remarks with some quotes to ponder as we deliberate and make resounding decisions on how we can make a difference today and the following days. The Director General's own quote is, "You can do or achieve your passion or goal as long as you strive for it legitimately and relentlessly." And then now these are the quotes that he thought we should have and hear and remind ourselves as we continue with our discussion. There is nothing more beautiful than when you prove to yourself just how strong you are. Think like a queen. A queen is not afraid to fail. Failure, another stepping stone to greatness. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. And it ends with think big and think maritime. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director of Kenya Maritime Authority. That applause is not enough. If you see, we have only one class between now and the tea. So we should add more class because the tea is near, right? Can we give her another round of applause? Thank you so much. Now, you remember when I give you an anchor of, you must have KMA and KPA. So our chief guest, in his tenure of career for the last 30 years, he ensured he accomplished my earlier statement. Worked in both KPA and KMA. Hear me out. Our chief guest, Captain Dave Molly, Regional Coordinator for IMO, Present Office for East and South Africa, based in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you so much for coming today morning. It was amazing waiting for you as we were so anxious to ensure you are here. The scope, over 24 countries in his command or in his scope of work. Can we give him another round of applause? He holds a master's in maritime transport from World Maritime University. I know you have many colleagues here, including Madam Connie, that's next to you. And he has served now in both KPA and KMA. In KPA, as marine pilot, and in KMA as regional manager for search and rescue. Isn't this what we need to hear and be motivated? So if you are in KPA, you still have another time to go to KMA. Ensure you look for those opportunities. And if you are in KMA, ensure you see some opportunities in KPA. So that in the next 30 years of service, the Kenyan government or to your life as a person, to ensure you accomplish all those goals. Welcome on stage.
Thank you. Thank you, MC, for the elaborate introduction. And I want to sincerely apologize for learning late. It is not our intention. And this is because until yesterday, IMO was to join on online because of what was happening the whole of last week and the week after, which I will also share. But I realized this morning that we need some training on how to inspect a guard of honor online because we didn't imagine that. And thank you very much for the opportunity. And now, Colonel Andy Cisse, the Secretary General PAMESA, the representative of the MDK KPA, Madam, the representative of Kenya Maritime Director General, Madam Kidiki, the representative of OMESA Kenya, Madam Jane Otieno, my former colleagues from, I didn't see somebody from the Navy. She forgot that I also started there is from the Navy, my former colleagues, from KPA and KMA, and I see Madam Rugi from the IMO project, the MTCC Africa. Welcome, and hope you had a safe flight. We were done in London last week, and number of friends here. The commander, guard of honor, thank you very much for mounting such an impressive guard. Yes, and that's a very good feedback because regimental duties also has a reflection. You know, we say that the maritime is the fourth discipline. You have the Army, Navy, then the fourth one is the maritime. So that was very impressive. Thank you very much. We don't take it for granted. And before I read the message from this IMO Secretary General, I also have greetings from one of your members, Jane, Madam Mwanaulu Magita, the new head for Africa. She talked of 24 countries, but Mwanaulu now is our head. She oversees the entire Africa. And I think that is a good achievement. And I'm very proud of her. And again, as I said, she's our former colleague in the force. So when we meet on those slides, and this is the second time we're meeting the IMO. And so she is in the technical cooperation and implementation division. Now, I said last week and the late week after, where the TC was, and one of the, we have the new Secretary General as Senor Domingos. He has a way of working, and he has, you know, organized the Secretariat so that we can deliver more. And every time we have E1's implementation. And in his wisdom, the former technical cooperation division where I work has been handed, IMSA's audit has been handed so that we look at the problem and we try to address them. And we also have projects within our division. Lydia is here representing one of the projects. Now, what used to happen in the TCC, we will have the normal SOLAS, those who are in the industry, MAPOL, ILO, and then all the ITCP project where we support will be based on that. But we have shifted to what we are calling the thematic approach. So rather than just the normal conventions, now we are having a theme. And why I'm taking this time is because one of the thematic areas our thematic area number 8 is on gender. So what that means, because we got approval of the budget for 25-26 to go to council, and thank you for Kenya. I see Josephine, she represented the country, and they approved our estimate thematic. So which means that we now specific focusing on women, and on women we're focusing on 3 areas. That is visibility, training, and recognition. Now, it therefore means that following the approval, and it's going to the council, and then later the assembly at the end of the year, that now we're going to get a budget to do specific activities aimed at women. That is, come up with training activities which we are going to support, and which will develop and support the opportunities for women. And also in terms of visibility, we are going to raise a profile of women in maritime sector to achieve gender equality. And then in terms of recognition, we ensure that mainstreaming of gender within the maritime sector. And I'm happy today to see or to share a table with Connie, who is the HR in KPA, and they are making good progress at 20. Now, the other thing I would want to mention, so from the IMO, we now get to specific action, and of course, you know that in institutions, it is when you have approved budget to do a specific, then now you can now come back and say, yes, this is what we are going to do for this sector. My brother, Kanawanda Caesar, mentions about the Western IMO survey, which was released in 2024. And he gave the figures. And he also followed with some questions. I would also say that let's go back to the figures, that is better. And we say numbers don't lie. So now it is out there. What I can say is when you look at the last report, there was a lot of participation. Now, when these surveys are being done, please, each and every member participate. Let us know the data of cadets, because that number, today we are calling them cadets. In the next 5 years, they will be officers. So once we have this number from here, then we can look at it and also now come up with actions, what we need to do. So that report is out. It is what it is. And he has said in Africa, it's 19%, but also it breaks down to the sectors, seafaring, logistics. Where are they? So we can see where the gaps and where we need to do more. And more so, especially now this time, where we have that thematic approach. So member states, employers will give us money to do this project. Now, when I do technical assistance activities, right now there's a KPA which are being given. And in Mombasa, I think we were with Catherine. If you notice that I had a KPI of ensuring that 50% are women. And our Secretary General is very firm on that. No excuses. So when he invited the countries, the invitation, and this was a bit technical, but it's up to you. It has been given, put down to me that I have to ensure that of these 2 participants from the country, 1 is a woman. And sometimes do they qualify? It's still, and I remember on the first one we did in April in Mombasa, all countries complied apart from Ethiopia, and where they only send men, and because the person they also sent did not qualify for the course, because we are looking at the implementation and the flag states. So it's still a tall order on us, but the direction has been given through the Secretariat So one of that KPI is I have to report that I've taken an activity in this country and the participation of women were this number. So I'll just highlighting that the need for the data, and when they come next time, participate in that survey so that we can be able to see what is currently happening and where we are going. Thank you, KPA. We are 20%. Africa is 19%, so you're ahead. I think KML should are much more ahead. When I left KML, I think we were at 48. Is it 40? Yeah. Congratulations and thank you. Yeah. KML is doing well. Yeah. Because by the time it was when the law was acted to establish KMA, then we had this the new policy. So and that's why KMA you expect them to be much ahead than KPA. KPA was there before, and so Connie is trying to adjust our policies to fit it because you cannot also sack a man because he was employed when the law was not there. Now, with those, I now wish to proceed and give the message of the Secretary General, Domingos Arsenio Domingos, from London, and this is message. As we mark the Women Day in 2025, we celebrate the contributions of women who have shaped the future of maritime. Our theme this year is an ocean of opportunities for women, recognizing the vast potential for inclusion, innovation, equality across the many different areas of work, from deck to boardrooms, ocean science to maritime administration, education, mentorship, policy, and culture. We will bring down the barriers to have, let me say again, policy and culture will bring down the barriers to have in-depth progress. It is time to build the momentum. Let's take today to dive into gender equality. And this message you want to join especially and tag someone who is making waves in the maritime world and opening opportunities for all. And that is the short message from our Secretary General. We know those women who are doing that, women and men. And with those few remarks, I wish to stop there. Thank you very much, organizers.
I will say that is not enough flag. Okay, guys. Can you continue with? I'm being reminded something that is crucial and maybe something to not topic about this.
Oh. Now that the honor has been given back to me, declare the International Day for Women celebrations in Mombasa. This day officially open. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I think they were waiting for that statement because the clap after that was more engaging. Now, that marks the end of our session. Apologies that right now we are going to break our tea. We are going to honor our stomachs. Ladies and gentlemen, on the right, immediately after the door, we have bathrooms or toilets, both men and ladies. If you are going to use it, just on the right, and then directly straight, that's where we are going to have our tea. So we'll come back at 11:10. That's okay? So we'll come back at 11:10 because some of you have an engagement in the afternoon. I want to try we finish on time. Enjoy your tea. See you at 11:10. Thank you so much.
ensures that women that are rightfully represented will echo what regional coordinator, Captain David has highlighted in terms of the representation of the IMO in the forums, where women need to be adequately represented and we ensure that the visibility, training, and recognition is considered. And I note that I may have omitted him during the introduction session of the forum. So once again, the Captain Dave Muli, thank you for the continuous support of engaging the women in the region as the IMO regional coordinator. With this presentation that I will be giving, we will be having a look at an overview in the form of highlights of the report that was conducted by WISTA in conjunction with the IMO. It is around a 13-page report, but we have condensed it to around 5 slides for us to be able to understand some of the gaps that are there, how we can support the gap analysis mitigation to see that women are rightfully represented in the shipping and maritime industry. We take note that we are looking at the theme that is towards an ocean of opportunities for women, and the subtitle for this presentation is the IMO WISTA Women in Maritime Survey 2024. This particular presentation has a focus on Africa. We can as well circulate it for better understanding as you read it alongside the actual report that has been as well circulated online. As you can see, the ocean of opportunities, we definitely need to ensure that women are represented. And much as women ought to be represented, it's very key to have the male allies on board. Would like to thank the gentlemen who are supporting the engagements of women in the maritime industry. And as we are going to have the Women in Maritime Survey 2024, we need to take note that we are looking at the valuable insights of the sector and some of the wonderful measures that can be put forward for sustainable development, linking it to the United Nations Development Goals. It's very good to see the cadets present because they are the future, looking at this from a sustainable future, and we are going to see how best some of the challenges can be mitigated. So in terms of the key findings of the report, looking at the trends, it was noted that 88 member states from 108 organizations participated in the survey. And as highlighted by Captain Muli, 19% of this came from the Africa region. There were also considerable interests in the survey from the Caribbean, Europe, and the Pacific, which reported the highest levels of women's engagement in the shipping and the maritime industry. In addition to this, we have to note that when we are looking at our focus on Africa, what are some of the notable statistics that will enable us have a human resource overview? It's a pleasure to also have Madam Connie on board, taking note that she's a woman in maritime and she's in human resource. And with the representation of Kenya Maritime, we note that you highlighted you have 48% women representation. How can these steps be improved further to ensure that the gaps that are identified in the report are considerably mitigated within the Kenyan framework? The report also notes that currently we have 6,853 women employed in the maritime sector. Given this is the figure, where do you hope it to reach? So that's a question that you can ask yourself. And if this is the figure in the African region, when we zero down to Kenya, what is the actual figure? The government of Kenya and WOMESA can look into some of the statistics that can be conducted specifically in Kenya, how best this report can be extrapolated and brought forth into the Kenyan advantage. So much as that is the percentage and the figures within the Africa region, when we look at it from a regional variation factor, the highest ratios, as you can see, are coming from the Caribbean, Europe, and the Pacific, where we note that 20% of the workforce have the highest representation of women. And as well in the Pacific, Atlantic, the highest representation has 26%, while the Caribbean private sector has 63%. We also have alignment figures in North America and Latin America, and you'll be able to see the statistics when the report is shared, as well as the presentation. But then again, when we are looking at it from the IMO perspective, linking it with the United Nations Sustainable Goals, of the 19% that has been highlighted, what is the percentage of the women working in Kenyan governments? However, much as you're looking at it from a Kenyan government perspective, in general, we have 25% in the Africa region of women working in government organizations. And this also constitutes 25% of staff working in the secretariats of the port state MOUs. So these are pertinent figures to have in mind as we are looking and moving towards ensuring that the participation of women is at par in the maritime industry, specifically from the Kenyan case study. In the same report, there are some actual infographics which are provided, and some of the infographics which are reasonable for us to take note of is what has been highlighted on the screen, looking at it from the African perspective of the organizations that have women working in the public sector. In Africa, we have 15%, and the median percent of this representation from the globe, in culmination together with the other regions, it comes to the 19% representation of women in the shipping and maritime industry working in the public sector. Taking note that we have 15% in Africa, I'll pose the question once again. Within the Kenyan space, what is the actual percentage of women working in the government public sector of the maritime and shipping industry? This can be a launchpad and a launchpad as well for further studies to be conducted, with a case study focusing on the African Kenyan region, and seeing how development partners can come on board for cooperation and collaboration to see how recommendations can be put in place to have guidelines that will support further engagement of women in the maritime and shipping industry in Kenya. And I know that Captain Muli will be very supportive of this as regional coordinator of IMO. And when we're looking at it from the women in leadership perspective, I choose to take the front that every woman is a leader in the maritime industry. Why? Because you're working amongst men. Therefore, you really do not need a title. The fact that you're a woman in the maritime industry, you automatically qualify to be a leader in your own right. And in this sense, during the research, when they looked at it administratively using the HR policies, they noted that female heads in maritime administrations have increased by 14. The number globally has increased by 14. In addition to this, it means 15% of the member state representation has also increased. However, when we are looking at the distribution, there was a unique finding because new areas in the maritime industry have also emerged to be frontiers of employment, and women are able to actively participate, especially given the supply chain mandates, and seeing how the global rotation of the maritime trade supports the women engagement. We note that, and this is a very important figure to take note of, the port operations and services sector has the largest number of women, and this is 4,499. This is from the African perspective. And as well, from the global perspective, it was noted that there was an increase in advertising, marketing, public relations, and crewing agencies. We note that these are not the ordinary career cadres that we are used to, because most times we look at it, and which is also very important to have the seafarers on board, to have the women working in the ports. However, these are new lines that are coming into the maritime industry. And most importantly, we also have the ESG, that is the environmental social governance. We have decarbonization services. We have financial institutions. We as well have weather intelligence services that reported a higher than average percentage of women in the maritime industry. So this also means that women in the industry can even open up private agencies to support themselves in the event. And also it is noted that at times government cannot absorb all the persons who want to support it. And even as you're looking towards working in government, areas like weather intelligence services, that requires a lot of digitalization. We note that the youth in Kenya are very progressive in the internet space and as well in communication ICT. We also have the public relations, advertising and marketing. These are subject matters that I would encourage all ladies not to shy away from, even if you're in the cadets level, even if you're a seafarer, even if you're in the maritime industry from the legal perspective, or even from the engineering perspective. As we move from the women in leadership, it's important to note that policy informs the law. And when you have proper policies in place, it leads to initiatives that will enable the government to move forward with substantial information that will be at par to the needs of the general women in the public. In relation to the subject matter that we are looking at it from a maritime and shipping perspective. In the research that was conducted by the WISTA and IMO, it was noted that 73 member states shared information on gender responsive workplace policies. I believe the government institutions present here definitely have the gender responsive workplace policies, and we can get to hear more about them when they have the floor for comments and insights. In addition to this, 35 member states had 5 or more policies, initiatives in place that complement the gender responsive workplace initiatives. And 55% of member states had sexual harassment policies, while 39 member states had flexible working arrangements. As we look at the member states globally, we note that the actual representation of member states at the IMO amounts to 176 member states. So the fact that we have 170 states representative at the IMO, the factors that have contributed to the study, you note that the 76 member states who have actual women gender policies narrowed down, and you can see there was a reducing factor when it came to the flexible working hours. The flexible working hours amounts to only having 36 countries representative. When you do the percentile of it, looking at it from 176 over 36 in the form of 100, you'll be able to see that it may be less than 10% or even less than 15% globally. So much as this is a global representation, when we are looking at this from the African Kenyan perspective, what are some of the initiatives that can be put on board to ensure that there is a flexible work engagement for women in the industry, and not just women working on board, but as well women working onshore and offshore, to see that there is a balance that will be in support of the overarching goal of having women fully represented in the shipping and the maritime industry. As we wait for technology to cooperate with us, perhaps I can pose an open floor for any questions up until this point. Any questions, any comments that can be in support of the presentation that we are currently looking at, which is aligned with the highlights of the WISTA IMO Women in Maritime Survey 2024 report. Going once. Thank you. Yes, so when you look at the report, you will note that there was also a country profile, which was in the form of infographics. And Kenya was part of the respondents who are there. We as well have countries like Ghana, which were also present in the report. And I believe that the WOMESA Secretariat will be able to circulate the report in a manner that will support further engagements with the discussion we are having. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Leslie. From my experience as a lawyer, from my experience as a lady, I am sure all women will say more needs to be done. It is true, more needs to be done. There are progressive steps which are already there in individual organizations, saying that majority of the representation of women policies are in government. As well, in the private sector, we have shipping lanes who also have internal policies that mitigate the gender support. However, more needs to be done. And I would urge WOMESA to take this challenge forward and see how best Kenya can come out as a champion in the East Africa region, if not Africa, of having additional women supporting measures in form of the policies. I see a question at the back. We'll take that last question or comment before we move on with the presentation. Thank you for that point. In terms of the IMO, and I'm happy that Captain Dave Muli is also present, what we note is that with the support of the current Secretary General, Mr. Arsenio, he's very passionate about the inclusion of women in the maritime industry. He's keen to ensure that guidelines are there that support visibility, training, and recognition of women in the maritime industry. And when we see the visibility, training, and the recognition of women, it aligns as well to quote-unquote gender violence. When we are looking at the three parameters, it is encouraged for member states through their respective governments, because IMO anchors on governments. It is imperative for governments to ensure that the HR policies are gender responsive in the workplace, and they ought to ensure the sexual harassment policies, the flexible work engagements, and additional policies are in support of the women in maritime at the end of the day for sustainable development and best work output. Taking note that government employs for best work output. And HR, we will hear some comments from Madam HR when we end this presentation as to how, and as well from Kenya Maritime, as to how further steps can be taken, and the floor as well, some of the progressive comments and highlights that you can bring on board that can be added to a roadmap that will be championed by WOMESA for inclusivity within the Kenyan framework. As I look to complete the presentation, taking note, we have other members hoping to join online soon, and I know they are hoping I will not take much time. Therefore, we now look at the engagement of women with the support of women networks and women associations. This is an example like WOMESA. When we are having the 59 maritime administrations dedicated women networks, and under the report, it also notes that 49 chapters of IMO established regional women in maritime associations exist. So these are the statistics. In addition to this, 34 member states are interested in establishing a WIMA national chapter. This is from the global perspective. Therefore, you can see the gaps. Much as we have the 176 member states. When you see at the women, when we look at the women representation, and as well looking at this from a statistical perspective, looking at this from that perspective, you will note that the percentages will be rather low. Therefore, more needs to be done to ensure that the challenges are mitigated. This must be the second last slide. So when the challenges and opportunities are clearly highlighted, it was noted that women remain underrepresented in mid-management positions. We all understand that challenge. When it comes to the seafaring, the report noted that women seafarers vastly remain underrepresented, comprising only of 1% of active seafarers globally. This means even the figure that was there in 2021, it was 2%, has reduced. And we note that there was COVID in between. So these are some of the factors that we need to identify. Why are there gaps? How can the gaps be mitigated? With the gap analysis that will be conducted, how will it be in favor of having more women on board? How will this roadmap be projected towards initiatives in the region at the regional level perspective of the IMO, who will be able to champion the recommendations to the IMO for greater inclusivity. It is therefore clear there is need for sustainable efforts to improve gender diversity in maritime. As a call for action, some of the barriers that we need to move away from, and this is a call to action from persistent disparities. The persistent disparities are highlighted in the mid-management positions, as well as the seafaring roles, where there is gross under misrepresentation. There is also very important, and I think all of us have gone through this challenge in the industry, that is the systematic barriers. Barriers that include gender stereotyping, workplace safety concerns, lack of family support and friendly policies at the workplace, ongoing gender pay gap, and a limitation of flexible working arrangements, especially for women working in the port areas. And also the systematic barriers come with the retention of both women and men. Looking at this from a cultural perspective, there ought to be a cultural engagement whereby much as we have our cultures in place, how can the same cultures align with the progressiveness that is in the maritime industry so that the persistent barriers are as well considerable in nature? In terms of the recommendations are aligned to the factors that have been highlighted on the screen. Most importantly, we must note that sustained efforts ought to be in the leading front. Sustained efforts for career development and diversity across recruitment. So the relevant government authorities, when they are looking at the retention of the women, sustained efforts ought to be top of the priority. This includes as well the policy implementation, mentoring and networking, data collection and investment, which is very paramount, because with data collection, then you are able to see some of the challenges which are there. It's also very key to have the collaboration. Collaboration and cooperation aligns, because these are some of the initiatives that are being implemented in other organizations world over, and the same can be replicated in the African industry, most importantly, the Kenyan ecosystem. As I conclude, The report underscores that to achieve gender equality, it is paramount to have collective responsibility where everyone is involved, male allies and the women as well, to have the crucial innovation, sustainability, and long-term prosperity for all. In terms of capacity building and how MTCC Africa supports the capacity building of the women, we note that we do have programs in the Africa region, but not all African countries. The representation of the screen are some of the social media handles where you can find the MTCC Africa organization website, LinkedIn page. I'm happy to note that towards the end of next week, we shall be providing the useful and most recent online training links, which are self-paced courses from the International Maritime Organization. And these self-paced courses will enable you to earn a certificate that is recognized by the IMO, and it can help you to advance your career and also to gain more knowledge on some of the trending and emerging subject matters in the industry. I must highlight that when we are looking at this from a capacity building perspective within the MTCC Africa framework, that is under the support of the implementation partner of the International Maritime Organization, ensuring that women are fully represented in the maritime industry are key to our priorities and policies. We do have a gender strategy. We can share the gender strategy with the WOMESA Secretariat so that they can also see some of the steps that can be taken to progressively move forward to ensure that there is sustainable development, and most importantly, that all ladies in the maritime industry have a fruitful working environment and they are happy in the working environment that they are respectively engaging in. And once again, I must appreciate that even as we are celebrating the International Women's Day in Maritime, male allies are very important. So we also appreciate with a clap the male allies in the room. And with that, I'd like to end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Zubia, for that well and articulated presentation. Let's again appreciate. I think from the presentation you have also that I was preparing for you on what are the steps MTCC Africa is taking in terms of creating the opportunities for women. So I believe we should also keep keen in ensuring we follow MTCC Africa to tap on this opportunity which is in place for us. So following the presentation which Cecilia has just presented to us, and we can see the key highlights is on the policy implementation plays a very critical role or crucial role in gender representation. We also have, we need to have engaging or encouraging our younger female participation in the maritime careers, which is also an area which needs consistent improvement in ongoing developments. Maritime education is a key focus, and we also need a level of consistency in adopting the gender inclusive policies in our countries. I will not repeat what she has said because you have also seen the various recommendations in place. And we also have a session for the question and answer session briefly after this, because we also have two representatives online. So we give them time to present before we open a line of questions to both Ms. Lydia Ruby and the are going to join us online. So I'll briefly introduce to us the next presenter, Ambassador Helen Gishugi, MBS, Secretary, Diaspora Welfare and Partnership, Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. I'll briefly read her bio before it's actually projected there, so we'll actually summarize it. Ambassador Helen Gishu MBS is a career diplomat who currently serves as a Secretary, Diaspora Welfare and Partnership, State Department for Diaspora, Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, and was elected the chair of IOC Africa. You can see the bio is presented here, and I'm so sure it's also going to be shared to all of us. So we won't dwell much on the bio. I'd like to kindly welcome Ambassador Eden Ariambo to briefly give her remarks on this topic today, on the ocean of opportunities for women. I believe her remark is going to highlight on the opportunities which exist and what the Ministry of Diaspora and Diaspora and Foreign Affairs is doing currently creating other opportunities for women. Thank you and welcome us.
Good morning. Can I be heard?
I can see her here, but
Good morning. Can I be heard?
Just a moment, Ambassador. How do we put it? Put it here.
Can I be heard? Hello, can I be heard?
Hello, yes, kindly speak again.
Ambassador, welcome. Please select the audio right now.
I'm trying to speak. Can I be heard? Can I be heard?
Yes. Yes. Kindly go ahead. Thank you. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much. You've all heard the introduction. Unfortunately, I will not speak about the opportunities which there are in the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs because that's not a ministry that deals with maritime opportunities. However, in the Diaspora State Department for Diaspora Affairs, we've been given the mandate to look for jobs for Kenyans globally. And that includes in the maritime space. That's not a space that we have technically or traditionally dealt in, but it's a space which is now available. Having said that, allow me to proceed on the protocols already established. There's a lot of speakers who've already established the protocol that there is. What I'd really like to speak about is being a career woman, being a woman in a career. That is what I'd like to speak about because that is a lot of the opportunities have already been expanded on. A lot of statistics have been given out. And that's not really my forte. I've just been elected the chair of Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission Subcommission for Africa. That is UNESCO IOC, IOC Africa. And obviously, I am not a scientist. I am a diplomat. But I decided that there is no boundaries. There is really no boundaries. The ocean is big enough for all of us. And you can do anything you set your mind to do. So I was ambassador deputy at the Kenya's permanent delegation to UNESCO in Paris. And while I was there, I learned a lot about what was happening globally in the oceans. But apart from that, I was also in the secretariat that did the first Sustainable Blue Economy Conference in 2018. And that was a huge success. And people still refer to it till today. One of the things that I think a lot of women grapple with is the fact that we feel we are not accepted in the spaces where we want to go. No, you will not be accepted, but you just have to open the door for yourself and move in. Yes, the men will be standing at the door, but you've got to get a way of getting in. If it means shoving them, if it means tickling them, if it means just speaking your way in, we have, as women, to make ourselves be heard. and you can make yourself be heard. You can actually rise to that position that you want to be at. Do not shrink yourself to fit into what the men perceive us to be. So maybe you're in maritime and you're in a cruise ship and you're having your periods and you feel you cannot work because the cramps are serious. Speak up and tell them this is a natural occurrence. You need time out. You know, unless the women speak up, the inequalities will continue to exist. Unless the women come up with a moratorium and say, look, we want to work in this industry, but these are the challenges we have, and this is our moratorium. We want to be able to work this many hours. When we are having our menses, we want to be able to work for so long, and we want to have this off time. Unless you speak up, nobody is going to give you the space. The men are not willing to give us the space. So we have to be able to move into those spaces and move into those spaces boldly. I understand when I was younger, there's a phrase they talk about, fake it until you make it. I use that phrase a lot when I would be speaking, particularly in the international forums, because as a diplomat, we take the stand a lot of times on behalf of Kenya. And sometimes I felt very inadequate especially because a lot of the men, not all of them, we know there are men who are supportive to women, but a lot of the men would take what you have said and rephrase it, and it would be accepted. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. You make a contribution, nobody says anything. A man repeats exactly what you have said, and then suddenly everybody is moving along with what that has been said as though you hadn't said it before. But we have to be willing to continue taking our space. And sometimes you want to say something and you're afraid to speak up. And then somebody else will say it, and then everybody's saying how that is fantastic. Those are lost opportunities. Those are the opportunities we need to take. We need to be able to speak up. We need to be able to stand up for ourselves respectfully. We are not going to insult anybody. We're going to stand up for ourselves respectfully, and we are going to proceed respectfully in the areas which God has given us. The ocean is enough for all of us. The ocean indeed is enough for all of us. Somebody made a statement, and I didn't quite understand, because you can be in the maritime industry and not be on a ship. Is that correct? Yes. You can be in the maritime industry and not necessarily on a vessel. You can be in logistics. You can be a surveyor. You can be a lawyer. You don't necessarily have to be in a vessel. The ocean has been called our mother. The ocean has been called the one who nurtures. As a woman, you're the one who nurtures. And one of the challenges that I think nobody speaks about is the balance between work and home, especially if you're a married lady. When I was building up my career, I had to be away from home a lot of times. At some point, I remember one neighbor told me that the house girl was going to run away with my kids because the kids did not attach to me. I was away so much. The kids attached more to her. And I had to make a deliberate effort to have quality time with my children. Money does not make up for quality time. You just have to plan your time in such a way that your family actually gets to eat your food, your family gets to laugh with you. Somehow you can be able to maneuver that space to give your family quality time. Remember, we are being nurtured by the ocean as we are nurturing our families as well. The ocean is big enough for all of us. Allow me to wish you happy International Women's Day in Maritime Industry, and I wish you fruitful deliberations. I'm willing and open to have any discussion with anybody who would want to hear more about how to build your career despite being a woman, or how to build your career being a woman. I am willing and happy to contribute. Thank you very much.
and also on your personal experience and your journey into this. Can you hear me now? Ambassador? Okay. So I'm saying thank you so much for your wonderful remarks, and also a mention of your personal journey and also the sacrifices which women have to make in terms of the career development and growth, and also being intentional into this growth and how to access these opportunities. I believe we might be having some questions, and I would advise that if you do have questions, we can be able to send them to you, and you can be able to respond to us through our various platforms, given that you have an engagement. But before you go, I'd like to ask you a question, which maybe you can also respond to us later. So as a ministry with the responsibility of creating a diplomatic space, legal foundation, and global recognition for the Kenyan women in not only in maritime. So what mechanisms are in place to ensure that the commitments made at international forums for women in maritime are translated into actionable programs on the ground in Kenya? So if you can be able to respond to them now or later, it will be good.
So thank you very much. I'll probably be able to respond to that now. So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs gives space to women. In fact, the ratio of women to men in foreign affairs, it's about 60% are women, 40% are men. There has been a talk about how the boy child has been relegated to the back burner. Of course, in the maritime industry, the boy child is still the one who takes preeminence and is still the one who speaks on behalf of everybody. The boy child is still the one who is at the forefront. But the girl child is coming out very aggressive as well, even in this space. For example, many ministries, the mandate of ratifying and domesticating some of the treaties which give women space does not really belong to foreign affairs. Each and every ministry domesticates for themselves. And I want to believe the ministry in charge of fisheries, maritime, and blue economy. Of course, you have seen one of the PSs is a lady, and I have interacted with a lot of ladies. There are a lot of ladies in that space. I haven't quite interacted with the State Department of Maritime Affairs. I will do so very shortly. I'll be paying them a courtesy call in my capacity as the chair of IOC Africa to just understand how it is in that space. Having said that, I know for a fact that the women scientists in Africa are 65%. The men are 35%. Consider that. The women who are doing research in oceanography, the women who are doing research in fisheries, the women who are doing research in the research space. That's the space I'm very familiar with. In the research space, the women are 65%. I think that is a very laudable. It's a very laudable progress that has been made. It is not enough for us to be 65% and then we keep quiet as 65%. I think we need to move on from being part of the 65% to moving on towards leadership positions. And I like somebody said that by virtue of the fact that you already have a position in the maritime industry, you're already a leader. That is correct, because it has been encumbered by men. So for you to be a lady taking that space, it means you're already doing exceptionally well. You're already doing exceptionally well. And so I laud all the women who are here today, and I congratulate you for how far you have come. Please never, never get disappointed. Even if the policies don't seem as though they're working for you, even if the policies have not been streamlined as yet, I think there's space. I think you're still able to make progress and to move towards that which you want to achieve. So thank you very much for having had me. Let's continue the conversation I'll be willing to meet with you another time, hopefully in person, such that we can interact a bit better. But I'm so grateful for this opportunity you gave me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. I hope you can hear the round of applause from the audience here. They are really, yes. And also just to inform you, we also have young students or young leaders also here in place who are also listening. I believe, I know you don't have time to right now to respond, but we'll go to them to ask them probably individually. Then also ask you on the side on how young women interested in the maritime diplomacy or foreign service, how can they be mentored by the ministry? And also if they do have their personal question, they can be able to direct them to you. So are we allowed to dismiss or release the ambassador? Yes, thank you so much, Ambassador. And we do appreciate you for taking your time to join us, given the time limitations, but we do appreciate your presence today, and we look forward to engage with you further on this discussion. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we do have another presenter online, Madam Jane Migongo from the Kenya Maritime Authority. Right? Marisa, okay, sorry. So I'm being connected. Madam Jane Migongo is a marine surveyor, senior marine surveyor, Salvage Way, and she's also going to contribute on this discussion. Maybe just a brief bio. Madam Jane Migongo is a senior marine surveyor and Salvage Way surveyors, certified and accredited regulator to the expert in environmental impact and assessment. Also has many roles from the University of Nairobi, from the University of Law, a certified and accredited mediator and diplomat in clearing and body from King's College, diploma in insurance from CII, London, and certificate in investigation of ship accidents, Italian Shipping Academy, and IMSSEA IMO, and a certificate in marine cargo surveillance, Maritime Training Academy from London. Madam Jane, can you be able to hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Karibu sana. You're welcome to also make your remarks on this subject. I can see the background.
That's the background of myself.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but kindly, Karibu.
Can you see? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being there. I'm really excited to share my journey. I'm a marine surveyor, like you've heard. And I started this when I was 20 years old. That time I was a marine loss prevention clerk working under Kenya Reinsurance. That time we were working for the insurance industry. And basically our job was to ensure that there is loss prevention because of cargo, loss. Because, the government realized that there was a lot of flight of foreign currency. Because every time a machine is damaged in port, the central bank has to get some other dollars, foreign currency to replace that machine, or the insurance industry will be making losses, every time paying the claims. So that's how we were involved. And it's been a journey. I have been there, grew up to now to the level of a senior marine surveyor at Salvage Way Surveyors. And it has been very challenging And this is just the best forum because I want to encourage the young people. This involves going on board the ship when you have instructions, because we know that the private sector is the one that runs the economy. So I'm encouraging people to come on board so that, we can have the private businesses. And it is easy. I'm the only woman surveyor in Kenya. And WAMESA is here. We want to hold the hands of the young people. Surveyors can come from engineers, master mariners. Also, we have accountants, anyone, as long as you learn. All you need to do is you can follow a qualified surveyor under apprenticeship, or you can even study, and you're accredited and you can start being a surveyor. Very interesting, very challenging, very male dominated. And like the previous speakers have spoken very well, challenges will be there, but we have to stand up and do it, and it is very rewarding. It is very rewarding. I must encourage people because this is a very young industry. The blue economy, very, very young. It has not been harnessed. And, women are very dependable. When you get some work from the shipping line or the trading agent, they're trusting you. And women are very dependable, very dependable. Like now, just 3 years ago, that's when I became an advocate of the High Court. And it's working very well for me because being a marine surveyor, all the people are giving me their maritime related matters, to take to court. I'm also a court annex mediator. And sometimes we have to sit and, agree with the parties, and the matters don't have to go to court. Now, being a surveyor is so key because evidence is everything. Once you go on board the ship and you get to take photos of how the cargo has come damaged, you see the ship will have no way of refuting that claim. Basically, what we do is ensuring that the loss will lie where it falls. If the cargo has arrived damaged, let that be the baby of the ship. If the cargo has been offloaded well, then we know that it landed safely. Those are the things. And the surveyor becomes very, very important so that even when you're insured and you lodge your claim with the insurance company, you get to give them the surveyor's report. You get to know how the loss happened. Always remembering that insurance will not pay mysterious losses, you see? Like you see, I also did insurance. So those are the things that we look into. We also work for the insurance industry. They have marine claims and they give you to assess, and very, very important. In fact, what we sell is the trust. You have to be trusted. And as a lady, once you're trusted, oh my God, work just flows. Now, with the young people, we are here to mentor you. Make WAMESA the launching pad, your launching pad. We are here to hold your hand. Yeah, because the field is wide. Like the speakers before me said, the ocean is too big for all of us. We have just to mention, we have Lamu Port, the biggest. We need surveyors. We have the ICD Nairobi. We have Naivasha, And for the young people, they are very well versed in ICT. Now we are looking for people who will come so that should they not get the physical jobs here, we have so many jobs online, but we need to train them how to be a marine surveyor so that even when they see the jobs online, they are able to do the survey work. And it pays well, and marine survey takes you places. I go to Uganda, Tanzania, Southern Sudan, because there's some cargo I looked at and has ended up there. And I don't think I have a lot of time. I was told 10 minutes, but maybe I can just be told whether I should continue. Can I proceed?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yes. All those jobs are there waiting for us. All members need to do is make sure that you're always following WAMESA. I've done many courses, through IMO, through WAMESA, and we really want to the IMO for supporting us, and we want them to do more. We want to make sure that when big claims come, we are the ones working on them, you see? Next time we have a ship going aground, there is general average. We want to be the participants doing. We don't need to bring expatriates to come and help us here, you see? So we need to build our capacity. And I just want to encourage all of us, even when you fall down, just get right back, you know? Things can be hard, but they are possible. You have to push yourself. That's how you make it. Now, the difficulties we've had, the challenges, discrimination, harassment, women stereotyping, but that is nothing. You know, you just have to remain focused and you will get to where you're going, you know? And the more, the merrier. So I want to encourage the young women to join, and we will go places. Yeah. Thank you very much. If there's any question, then I can answer. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jane Migongo, for that wonderful remarks and also a share of your experience as a marine surveyor, and also encouraging all those ladies who are interested in becoming a marine surveyor, what it takes to become one, and what are the benefits which are going to be accrued when someone becomes a marine surveyor. So we also appreciate the openness of the mentorship to mentor the young people who are interested in becoming a marine surveyor. And we also cannot reiterate enough, you also mentioning on the ladies present here to also leverage on the platforms of WEMESA and IMO to look out on the opportunities which are available to us in terms of capacity and training, and also the exposure which someone gets when they become a marine surveyor. As you have mentioned, the exposure which you have been able to receive from visiting the various countries, working with different people, as it is a form of networking and also building capacity. So I'll pose a question, or I'll open the floor if there are any questions, so that you can be able to respond. Do we have any question on the floor? Any question do we have for Ms. Jane? Okay, currently they don't have any question. I believe it's because the presentation was very interesting and it was resonating with them very well. So if there are any questions which are going to arise from this, we will be able to send it to you, and you'll be able also to respond to us. In the meantime, we do appreciate, we have, oh yes, don't leave please, we do have a question. Sorry, it's not a question. It's more of an appreciation and a comment. Since everybody was very quiet, so I thought I should just say something. Thank you so much, Madam, for sharing with us your experience. My name is Kenya Maritime Authority. I think the shift that you have made, growing into a marine surveyor as an assessor and progressing it and now nurturing it and linking it to the law so that you're able to represent the clients well is a very good step forward. And I applaud you for that. I've actually been looking for a marine insurance course myself, a diploma, so that I can also pursue a career in being an assessor for insurance, because I hear that's where, for everybody, just for noting, there's a lot of money in assessment. And Jen can bear witness to that. There's a lot of money in that. And people pay a lot. So thank you for sharing your experience. Maybe just for putting on, and we now have actually surveyors, especially at the Kenya Maritime Authority. We have Christine. She's an engineer and is also a marine surveyor. So we encourage more women to join Jen and Christine, so that we have a lot more surveyors. And I'll also now shift my career towards assessing so that I can get paid well. Thank you.
Maybe I can just add something, just to give Another example, other than just working in the port, sometimes you get to some work and you're told, oh, there's a tanker that has overturned at Makindu or between Makindu and another town, and they need you there. So you have to go by bus, and between Mombasa and Nairobi, there are so many accidents. So you have to be close to the driver so that he stops at where that accident is. Situations like those, they're good, rewarding. All those people will be waiting for the surveyor to arrive. That's very good. When you're looking at the containers are an extension of the ship. Most of consolidated containers, they will not open until the surveyor arrives. You know, a surveyor has a very, very special position. You know, whether it's for the insurance industry, until the surveyor arrives and assesses the situation. You see, very, very nice. They can just share the most challenging job that I've ever done as a surveyor. I was working for an international loss adjuster and surveyor, and a luxurious ship or boat, you know, sank off the coast of Kenya. And they required that I must go there and confirm that the boat is irretrievably lost. So what did I do? I hired contractors, divers, to go and take a video there. And my boss was like, no, Jane, you have to go with them. So you can imagine I had to spend like 3 days before, you know, seeing myself diving down like 100 meters below to go and confirm that the luxurious boat that was very expensive is irretrievably lost. So we really did that. And I was very fearful because that time my baby was small. I had a small family. But I told this gentleman that we must have a chain that we have to padlock himself and myself just to be sure that he won't leave me or I won't get lost. I also fear that the sharks may, you know, rip me apart. But he told me the suits we wear, we are safe, you know, because it's a repellent. So from that time, I decided I'll never get employed again because at the end of the month, I just got my salary and I invoiced 2.5 million. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to comment that Ms. G is one of the WOMESA members. So basically, if you feel that you still want time with her, we can arrange for a meetup so that she can come here in present because she lives in Mombasa, so that she can be with us.
Thank you for having me.
My name is Stella Sululu. I'm a scientist. At this point, from Stella Maris, at this point down the line of scientific aspect. However, I'll seek clarity and guidance in matters of parenting. Yeah, she is a surveyor, and how does she manage the parenting aspect in terms of family? Because family is the key. Thank you.
I think she's left that. You can just write it down. Someone will put it up.
Protocols of third, good afternoon. Poleni niko na homa kidogo, but nasikika. So my name is Emma Okello. I work for Kenya Ports Authority Mombasa, Container Operations. And I want to thank you all for coming here today. I take this opportunity also on behalf of our chair lady who is not able to be with us here physically to say thank you for having a very good session. So I'll just go straight to my vote of thanks message. So as we conclude today's celebration of the International Day for Women in the Maritime, under the theme An Ocean Opportunity for Women, we reflect on the vast potential that lies before us. So this theme underscores the importance of visibility that we just been told here about visibility, training and recognition, in creating a maritime sector that is inclusive, equitable, and empowering for all women across Eastern and South Africa. Today, we have not only celebrated the achievements of women in maritime, but have also reaffirmed our commitment to breaking down the barriers that hinder their full participation. The discussion and insights shared today highlight the urgent need for continued effort in enhancing visibility, providing comprehensive training, and also ensuring recognition for the invaluable contribution of women in our industry. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all our speakers today, our panelists, our moderators, and participants who have shared their experiences and expertise, enriching our understanding and inspiring us to go step forward. Your contributions are invaluable, and together we are making significant steps towards our aim. For partners and supporters, thank you for your unwavering commitment and encouraging the encouraging word over. Yes, so just to summarize, as we say forward, let us remember that the ocean of opportunity is vast and it is ours to navigate. Let's continue to think maritime and inclusive and work collectively to ensure that the maritime sector reflects the diversity, talents, leadership that women bring to the table. So thank you all for your participation, your passion, and dedication. Together we are chatting across board to a brighter and more international day.
There is one final thing that I'm putting to do for the sake of our guests. Kindly all the EXCOM come in front. EXCOM members. We have an official authority from our chair. Actually, outside the country, official work. That's what not able to be with us. But I want to give the mic to all the EXCOM to introduce themselves, the name and the role they play as a EXCOM. Sorry, before Secretariat. Very exciting to meet you. The very great one. I'm an EXCO member. So is member. So thank you very much. My name is Gloria Pale, and I'm an EXCO member. Also.
beneficiary of IO program. Here, what are the beneficiary of Alexandria, and actually, I'm checking at Alexandria, but I think I'm going to Alexandria to study.
Good morning, good afternoon. Once again, I'm Gladys Santoro, Professor and Treasurer. The side of the treasurer is different, the side of the is different. Treasurer tomorrow group is I don't see that most of the beneficiary or some of I know person and all those things are sent for email and then we are applying for the question. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you once again for the attendance. This is a very important today. My name is Jim Otieno. I am the Vice Chair of the Women's Panel. We encourage with you, especially the young people here. You give me a lot of hope. In the Maritime report, I was a of the legal department, and we have done a lot of work with the police care package. What we are speaking about the domestication of the conventions, activity in the law, and also I saw just in another year of the Maritime department. So we worked together, and when Captain Moody was there, the director of the Maritime Safety, he gave us really a lot of support. So we are going to all the group together, and I'm so happy to see also Lucy here, who was in who was working in I think she was in strategy in Maritime. So we are all together. So I am very pleased to see you. And I can see my friends also from Stella Maris. I sit in the board of Stella Maris and Caritas. So we work together. So wherever we are together, we are working just for the benefits of the region. And last but not least, I see also Joyce here. We went for a conference in Tanzania together with her. And all is impression of what women are. And women here, you can do a lot of important things. Don't minimize yourself. So in a very special way, I want to remind you because everything is coming to us the opportunities, and opportunities can only be had from a HR perspective. So whether we want to say it or not, the HR is a very important aspect in this call for the financial sector. So please, ladies, let us join together and don't forget our partners. These men you see here, they start with us from the beginning, and as Gladys said, Cameron was here very early. And he said he knows the time was 8 o'clock, but he was here at 7:45. You know, so that is really showing us a lot of all the young girls here, very much on time. They did their practice here. It shows a lot of commitment. So I really applaud the that language. Our chair is Madam Lynn. She's a high manager educator. As an artist, she has given her training and she started a country for which will show us. So with her and us, the secretary, which is outside, so these are complete exposure for the next activities. Thank you so much. That was mark the end of the fact session, that is for the first class our guest. So we are going to proceed directly to put photo down there later on, and then we come back for the lunch. And then for the lunch, our guest will give a down photo. Momentum members kindly return back to the lunch session to share to us for the members. Thank you so much and have a good day. I leave your back in the room because you're coming back here. This sofa is seated. Let's go for the full photo. Please.
Maybe to assist me, I don't think the students be